For episode 2 of the All-Time 5, we're looking at another German org. This time it's an org who are actually famous for their German teams, at least in Counter-Strike 1.6. The sharper ones amongst you might have figured out that I'm of course talking about Mousesports. Mousesports are one of the true legacy orgs of Counter-Strike, having been around since 2002 and fielding teams in Source, 1.6 and Global Offensive. In more recent years they have transitioned from German teams to international rosters. No matter the nationality of their players, Mousesports have had several different 5-man lineups find success, giving me plenty of players to choose from for this video. If you want to find out more about the players I choose, watch my first episode about SK Gaming. In that video, I explain my thought process for how I come up with these teams, as well as make some tough decisions when building my SK Gaming all-time 5. Let's begin with the honourable mentions. Roman R. As one of the first 5 Mousesports players ever signed, and a 5-year veteran of the org, Roman plays a crucial role in the story of Mousesports. Roman R only won a single S-tier LAN with Mousesports CPL Spain 2005, but also won several seasons of EPS Germany, which is a bit like the Counter-Strike equivalent of the Bundesliga. Dominating the German scene is what allowed Mousesports to establish their brand, and Roman R was a key figure during that era of Counter-Strike. csgo and Capio. This duo was signed in January of 2007, at roughly the same time, maybe a day separating them, and they turned out to be the first of 2 double signings that would end up creating Mousesports' major winning lineup. csgo and Capio spent 5 years and 4 years at Mousesports respectively, winning 4 S-tier LANs, including that one major. They don't make the list as they weren't the most vital players of Mousesports as individuals, and there are others who simply played a bigger role in those winning teams. Nico. The least successful of the players to make this video, Nico won 0 S-tier LANs in his time with Mousesports. The reason he makes the honourable mentions is thanks to the incredible individual performances he put up in his 2 years wearing the red jersey. His rating of 1.17 was impressive, but what made it even more impressive was the fact that he did it on a team that barely won more than 50% of its maps. He also had an incredible impact rating during this time, which few have even come close to matching. It is out of respect for his individual performance that Nico makes this honourable mentions list, though he would have made the main team had he even found a small modicum of success at big events. In the legend of Mousesports, Gore is maybe one of the more forgotten names. He was one of the first signings that were made to improve their initial Counter-Strike roster, and ended up playing more than 7 years in the red polo shirt. To add on to Gore's long tenure was a major win, his multiple S-tier LANs, and over half a dozen EPS Germany titles. Gore was one of the players who built Mousesports' brand, but was also good enough to be kept around until the major winning roster in 2008. Gore is an icon, and is probably the greatest Austrian Counter-Strike player of all time. He should be one of the first names that are mentioned when talking about Mousesports in 1.6, and he is fully deserving of his place on this team. What hasn't ChrisJ done on Mousesports? He has AWP'd, supported and entried, even called for the German organisation in Global Offensive, making him truly a jack of all trades. Thanks to ChrisJ's willingness and ability to do anything that's required, Mousesports have been able to sign a variety of different stars with different playstyles to play alongside him. His individual level has never been the most important part of his role on Mousesports, but the fact that he was able to maintain such a decent level of play whilst also making space for superstar teammates is a huge credit to him. He might not make the CSGO Hall of Fame, but it's impossible to think of Mousesports in Global Offensive without the image of ChrisJ coming to mind. Known more for his time as an IGL in CSGO, godb is one of the greatest German players from 1.6. godb was never known for his individual skill in CSGO, but in 1.6, godb was an incredible player, on top of being a great leader. This is something that Global Offensive fans never got to see from godb, as his individual level never reached the heights of his 1.6 days in CSGO. There were times in 1.6 where godb was the best player in Mousesports, and they were winning tournaments and playing brilliant CS, all of which are things that can be directly credited to him. In over 4 years with Mousesports, godb won 4 big LANs, including a major, as well as dominating the German scene. Mousesports has had many IGLs and many riflers, and godb managed to be one of the best of both. Rops is one of the youngest players to make it onto any all-time roster ever. He is also the only player on this list who still has time to add to his legacy, as he's still competing for the German org. After signing with Mousesports at 17 years old, Rops has gone on to have quite an incredible career so far. In his first full year as a member of Mousesports, Rops cracked the HLTV top 20, finishing 19th in 2018. In 2019, he finished 10th. In 2020, 7th. Rops' individual brilliance has been one of the few consistent things about the team since he signed, with many players joining and leaving in that time period. Rops has won 5 S-tier LANs with Mousesports and won the MVP at the ESL Pro League Season 10 finals. Historically, Mousesports have had very few players who could actually hang at the highest level consistently, and the young Estonian is one of them. The story of Six is one of the greatest tragedies in esports. His career was cut short by a car crash at the young age of 20. He spent 3 years in Mousesports, during which time he was either the best or the second best player on the team, depending on who you ask. In those 3 years, Mousesports went from a perennial footnote, only really relevant in Germany, to one of the best 3 teams in the world. The possibilities that lay ahead for Mousesports prior to Six's passing were endless. The super team they had built was reaching its prime, and they were ready to take on the world. Six's cultural impact extends further than the tournaments he won, including IEM2, the major, his signing and ensuing success, bringing in many fans from the Balkans into the Mousesports fold. This extended Mousesports' reach beyond Germany and into the rest of Europe. The limited time that Six had to achieve the things he did is part of what makes him so great, and a part of the reason why he makes it into the Mousesport all-time 5. So that's my Mousesports all-time 5. ChrisJ, Rops, Godby, Gore, and Six. If we knew more about Mousesports' financial situation, we could probably talk about them as a great Moneyball story. They never had the biggest budget, relying on the German scene in 1.6 and then really astute signings in Global Offensive to build rosters capable of competing. Mousesports are an org I really look forward to looking back on in 10 years' time, to see where Rops has come and to see what other signings they've made, as they seem to have a knack for signing young players with a bright future and turning them into all-time greats. If you enjoyed the video, please like it, please sub if you want to see more, it really helps me out. Leave a comment telling me what you think about Mousesports and what you think about my all-time roster. That's all for this one. Goodbye.